Hello, ladies, and thank you again for tuning in into this episode of I Start First podcast. Today, we're going to talk about everything law, but not the regular kind, the fun kind, the kind that teaches you how to be preventative, how to do things legally the right way ahead of time, because my guest today is none other than Megan Porth, founder and owner of Your Contract Shop, and trust me, she makes law super fun.
Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes Off the Ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to up-level your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for tuning in into another episode of I Start First podcast. And I'm so excited because someone who is here with me today, not only she's one of my favorite boss divas, she's a great friend, but most importantly, she's here to break all kinds of stereotypes because she's an attorney, but she's also a business owner and she's also a woman. So she covers all types of ranges of everything we often struggle with in our business. So I am introducing to you today, Megan Porth. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Alenka. Thanks for having me on. This is so fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. And honestly, like just the fact that you know my tribe so well, you've seen it, you know the women I work with. So I'm so excited to have you. Well, tell us a little bit more. Tell us what happened? How did Megan become an attorney and what prompted that?
You know, it's really kind of funny because I started out with a family of entrepreneurs. So it was really nice growing up in that environment, which I know you talked about, Alenka, with your mother. And I had a similar experience with my family. My father owns radio stations and restaurants and all of these. He's a serial entrepreneur. He just loves creating businesses. And so I really, when I first moved out of the house and went to college, I wanted to be a restaurateur. That's what I decided I was going to do. And then, of course, you know, evolution happened. And really, quite frankly, I went to go manage a restaurant. And I said, oh, no, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. I'm not good at this. And so basically how I became a lawyer was I had kind of given up on entrepreneurship, to be really honest with you. I was a lobbyist at one point and I got really frustrated. I loved working for the Department of Veterans Services. I liked advocating. I liked all of those different things. But I was really frustrated working in a large bureaucracy. And so I finally said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to go to law school and then I'm going to sue the legislature so that they do what's right for our veterans. And once I got into law school, it rekindled my love of entrepreneurship. It really did. I really thought that I was going to go back to work for the government and do this very specific niche work. But once I got into it, all of those childhood memories came back, Alenka. I was so excited to work with small businesses. And then I sought out internships and different opportunities to work with business law attorneys. And that really inspired me. And then I really decided, no, this is what I love. This is actually what I love. I love helping people realize their dream. And especially as a woman, because I was a single mom at the time. And for me, it was really important to be able to have that flexibility and that freedom. And I thought, how am I going to be able to pull this off as a lawyer where we're expected to work 60 to 80 hours a week? And I just said, wait a second, I actually don't have to, do I? I can start my own firm. I know exactly what that looks like. I'm advising other businesses on how to start their companies. And so basically I went through the entire legal business model and I said, what can I get rid of that isn't specifically client focused, that doesn't work directly for my clients? And that was how I came up with my law firm, Your Contract Shop. Obviously, as you know, we're web-based, we're virtual. We do flat rate billing, which is really lovely. My clients get to actually project and budget what their legal services are going to look like. And we work with a lot of independent contractors, whether they are attorneys or paralegals, which gives them the freedom that they so desperately desire. So it was really out of having experiences in other types I guess, work environments, because I didn't know what it was like to work in a large corporation. I didn't know what it was like to work for the government, because I grew up with entrepreneurs. I didn't have anyone in my family who had that kind of experience. And like I said, ironically, doing that is what, I guess, answered that question for me. I said, oh no, this is not the place for me.
Right. But I love it. I love the fact that you just went and literally deconstructed, essentially, like, what do I love versus what's not necessary, and what I don't love, what can I contract out and find better use of my time and outsource. And then I will work with pieces I actually love and adore. I mean, you're literally running your attorney firm as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And that was actually the most difficult thing for me to do, as far as receiving support from my colleagues. I did work for a couple of litigation boutique law firms when I first started practicing, and I really loved the work. I thought it was a ton of fun, but I just felt like the legal business model was very behind the times, Olenka. And that's because it is. Actually, the ethical obligations and the ethical regulations that we have to abide by were written in the 1970s, if that tells you where we're at right now. So I had to get really, really creative. And believe it or not, I had to do a lot of work with even an ethics attorney to discover, am I allowed to do some of these things? And really, there's some things I still want to do that are not legally permissible, things that other businesses do that would be really excellent for the community. But again, when you are in a profession that's highly regulated, it's usually about 30, 40 years behind.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy. Ladies, I hope you're listening with your ears open, because yes, I mean, Megan is probably one of the most forward-thinking attorneys I know. I mean, I love everything you stand for, how you conduct business. That's why I do business with you. I refer clients because of that exact stance that you took, and you are out there, making things happen and changes, and, being as forward and progressive as you can possibly be. But I do want to bring it back to exactly what you said earlier, working with big firms, and a lot of times they create, and I mean, because you and I are talking to female audience right now, like, I know a lot of these girls are thinking that, and I've been in that position before. Those big firms can be very intimidating.
Right.
And a lot of times, as female business owners or entrepreneurs, we literally shy away from going there because it's so intimidating. It's so intimidating to walk into big firms and, the billable minutes and 20 on staff, and you're like confused and lost, and it's all so daunting. So I do love the fact that you are doing it completely differently. And you definitely are giving even small businesses and startups and, companies that are just in the process of being developed so much opportunity because of that. So can you touch a little bit on leveraging an attorney, leveraging your firm, leveraging opportunities that you provide for your clients, so these girls understand it better?
Yeah. And I completely understand the intimidation factor. In fact, that was one of the things that I'm trying to eliminate. Everybody always laughs because I say I have these maybe pie in the sky dreams of really changing the way that people look at legal services. I want them to be accessible. I even want them to be quasi commoditized. I want it to be easy. I want you to be able to budget for it. And I know this sounds crazy, Olenka, I want it to be fun. It should be fun.
It is.
The work that I do is fun. Now, litigation is a whole nother story. I'm not asking for people to enjoy themselves in one of the most tumultuous things they'll experience. But for the work that we do, the transactional work, we do contracts and entity formation and negotiations. Those should be fun. And as an advisor, a trusted advisor, I think our job is to do more than just the basic legal work. And unfortunately, that's never taught in law school. So what I always tell everyone when it comes to leveraging attorneys, it is 100% normal to feel intimidated by a lawyer. The first thing that I want everyone to remember is you are the client. You are the customer. And if your attorney makes you feel like you should have known something that was only that only a lawyer would know, or tries to make you feel less than who you are, then that's not the right lawyer for you, especially at this stage, especially at this place. Now, of course, you want someone who's candid and will point out all of the things that you need to have happen, but they don't need to do it in a patriarchal way, right? We don't need fathers. We need advisors, right?
I love that. Okay, ladies, I would literally say you need to go back and pause or bookmark this if you're listening or watching, because I want you to listen to that exact part that she just said, because this is gold. Like, this is exactly why so many of business owners that I see who are female, literally stay away. We don't need father. Oh
Yeah.
God, this is gold right here. Sorry, I didn't
Right.
want to
And
interrupt you, but it's so good.
no, I mean, really, and that's many times how we're treated in an advisor position. I'm even treated that way with certain professionals that I work with.
Yeah.
So if that happens, the great thing to know is there are thousands of us out there, literally thousands of lawyers out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fire your lawyer if you're unhappy, fire your lawyer if you're not getting what you want. And I'd say this about any professional, your accountant, it doesn't matter
Yes.
who it is, your coach. If you don't feel like you're in a good position, like you are being heard, you are being in that you can trust them, then it's not the right relationship. So the best way to leverage your lawyer is actually earlier. And this is going to be very counterintuitive to what a lot of people feel. So what I get a lot of is, okay, well, we're just going to do this. We won't do this other thing now because, we really aren't making that much money anyway, or we don't have a lot of assets to protect. But what I always tell everyone is when you have only a small amount to protect, you need more protection than when you have a lot. Because those people who have a lot have buffers built in. They have assets they can liquidate. They have accounts that they can go to. When you are bootstrapping your own business, which many of my clients are doing, I focus on small to medium-sized businesses. You actually need more protection than the big guy who has a lot of assets that she can leverage. So that's what's really important to remember early and often. I always call myself the legal dentist because I want to see you on your teeth cleaning. I don't want to necessarily only see you when you have a cavity.
Oh my God. I mean, ladies, I hope you'll listen. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in. This is freaking amazing. Literally bookmark, listen to this a few times. What she's giving you right now is absolutely magical information. Like, honestly, I love what you do, but now this is like a whole next level. So ladies, please, like Megan is literally giving you step by step what you need to do very early on. So please focus here. Please, save this, share it with your friends, because I know how many of you are sitting there, holding back, being scared, not asking questions. So that is why I have her on today. So because I know she's the raw and the most real and the most normal attorney. I love the legal dentist. That's brilliant. All right, continue. Sorry.
Well, yeah, because I really do. That's when I want to see you. I want to, and most attorneys do as well. I mean, you have litigation attorneys who just do that, but really the transactional attorneys that you work with are going to be interested in the preventative work that you can do. And so really in the end, Olenka, one of the reasons why we posted our rates online is to facilitate that entire environment, to say, okay, you may not be able to afford, let's say, for instance, an operating agreement for your limited liability company, for your LLC, but you need one. You desperately need one, ladies. I cannot stress this enough. You need an operating agreement. So that's okay if you can't afford one in the beginning, but make sure you're leveraging lawyers. You're reaching out to experts to find out how much is it going to cost for me to get this done. Yeah. Most attorneys do free consultations. So get the prices from them so you can put it into your budget. Yeah. You don't want to wait until you have $2,000-$3,000 and you go, okay, I think this is how much this is going to cost. Now I'm going to call them, because what ends up happening is the operating agreement keeps getting pushed down, right? It's the last thing that you're going to want to do, or something else will come up. So get those prices early, and also try to see if you can get a lawyer early. You don't have to retain someone, but interview them. I always tell people to interview 3 professionals at a minimum. Find out what their rates are. Find out what how do they respond to you? Do they do what they say that they're going to do? Hey, I'll email you tomorrow. Oh, I'll be there for the appointment, and then they don't show up for the appointment, or they don't email you. Yeah. That will tell you a lot about their capacity and how thorough they are. And get that lawyer, get that name first before you even need them. It's kind of like having a wonderful primary care physician, so that if you need them, you don't necessarily need to go to the doctor, but you have a doctor you can call and make an appointment with.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is seriously, ladies, she just gave you like 10,000 worth of training for free right here on the podcast, but it's so, so true. I mean, literally, and you like jumped right into my question, which I was going to ask, like give them some first points that they need to do. And this is all brilliant. And I want to commend you, honestly, like that's so fantastic. I mean, ladies, if you're listening, we will put Megan's information in the show notes, obviously, but she actually does. Her firm has all their rates posted, which is crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so unconventional, but that's why I think builds trust with you right off the bat. Like
Yes.
so many people see you, they know the personality that you have. You're so transparent, you're so open. The fact that you post your rates, the fact you are so just thorough, but yet you explain it in a normal way, you're not intimidating. So all these things are just incredible, and that's what stands you apart, in my opinion, so much. And can we talk, so just real quickly, I do want to come back to the operations agreement, because I have so many girls who are like shying away, like you said. It's kind of like
Yep.
lost on the totem pole, and they're like, well, I'm just doing business with friends, oh, she's
Yes.
my best friend, nothing will ever happen. So can you explain a little bit why it's so important, especially because so many of my women that I work with and that I come across, they do form those LLCs with friends or relatives or somebody who's very, very close in their circle.
Right.
So they feel, right, the trust is already there. I can handle this for a while without putting anything in perspective legally. So I definitely want you to talk about this.
Yeah. And actually, I tell people that when you go into business with friends and family, the operating agreement or any contract is actually more important than when you go into business with a friend, or sorry, a stranger.
Yeah.
And there are a number of reasons, but the most important reason, in my opinion, if we're looking at this holistically, Alenka, is because that relationship is important to the both of you. Mm-hmm. And if the relationship is important enough, then you will take the time to ensure that everybody understands the deal. Because what I have found, Alenka, is in disputes, in contract disputes or legal disputes or business law disputes, you never have one nefarious character, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have a cloaked, a black cloaked, hooded, person with a scythe trying to come in and I'm going to ruin everything for you. It's actually what it comes down to is two people who understood the deal differently. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going this way and they thought it was going that way. Yeah. By taking the time to sit down with someone and go through and have these really uncomfortable conversations, because I'm not going to pretend like they're not uncomfortable. What's going to happen if you die? What's going to happen if you get divorced? What's going to happen if you hit your head and you lose capacity, right? Mm-hmm. Those things are really uncomfortable conversations, but because the relationship is important enough that you wouldn't ever want something silly like money or business to come between it, then the contract helps you lay those boundaries and that framework down. And that's what I tell everyone. Contracts are just written boundaries. They are merely written boundaries. And that's one of the reasons why I love them. They're the boundaries between the business owners, but they're also the boundaries between you and your company. And that is why it's so crucial. Here's the other element, aside from this kind of existential idea that if people are important enough to us in our life that we lay down a contract and we take the time to do it right. The truth is, Arizona law and most jurisdictional laws require it anyway, Oleg. Mm-hmm. So you need the operating agreement at a minimum. And the reason is because we have formed a company. And in this instance, we're talking about an LLC. And we formed an LLC to protect us. It's like a shield. I always like to pretend like we're building a little shield. And everything that we do is building that shield so we are protected personally from our business's liabilities. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that a court of law or a plaintiff can do is if they want to sue you, they can say, well, I'm going to sue her business, but I'm also going to sue her personally because I'm going to try to prove that she didn't run her business as a separate entity. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they look at is, do you have an operating agreement? Yeah. It's not dispositive. It's not the only thing that they look at, but they do look at it, and it's a big chunk. Now, Arizona has recently passed a law that goes into effect for all existing LLCs as of September 1, 2020, that says that you have to. Yeah. So they just basically, it's one of those things that has to be done. It's not an easy document. I have a lot of patience and empathy for people as they run through it, but I'm telling you, you will feel like $1 million. It's just like swallowing that poisonous frog.
I love it. I love it. Ladies, again, like I said, bookmark this part. It's so simple. I mean, Megan, that's why I love you, honestly. Like, you're one of the greatest about just simplifying things and making them so clear. It's like holding someone's hand and, bringing them on step by step by step. I love how you explain it. And yes, it is now legal. It has to be done. So ladies, don't postpone that. If you are in that business right now where you're still, it's all based on friendships and words, like Megan said, your relationship is way more important than anything else. So you definitely don't want it to come between. And, speaking of a lot of illegal misconceptions, with operating agreement being one of them, we can postpone that. Can you give maybe a couple more examples of what you see the most with small businesses where they maybe don't do it or don't think it's important, but it is super important and they should pay attention?
There are a lot of legal misconceptions that are out there. And there's one that I would love to address right now because it is one of the most annoying ones to me because I can't find the source. Okay. I'm looking for patient zero on this one. Where did this information come from? I get this a lot. And this is really important for single member owners, or I shouldn't say single member, but if you are the only person who owns a business, even if there's 2 or 3 of you, many times I hear, one of the things that I hear a lot is, oh, my accountant or my banker or my friend told me that I need to be a corporation and then and fill in the blank, Olenka. Okay. There have been a number of things. People have told me, oh, it's because banks prefer that you're a corporation, or that it's more tax advantageous for me if I'm a corporation, or there's more legal protection for me if I'm a corporation. None of those things are true. Not a single one of them. So what I always like to make sure everybody knows is that you are not constrained to one specific type of entity. I do recommend reviewing it with a lawyer before you form an entity, because if you form a corporation, you have certain regulatory requirements that you have to abide by. Parliamentary procedure, you have to have annual meetings, you have to take minutes. Otherwise, and you have to file with your jurisdiction. If you don't do that, then you risk administrative dissolution, which you don't have with an LLC. And that has happened to a lot of my clients. So that's one of them. You don't have to be a corporation. You can be an LLC.
That's awesome.
The other question I get a lot of is, we didn't have a contract because it wasn't in writing. And that's not true either. So in order to have a valid binding contract in every jurisdiction of this country, you have to have an offer, an acceptance of that offer, and some form of consideration between the two of you. Consideration is just a fancy legal way of each party is giving up something: money, time, products, whatever it is. That means that that's binding. So when you have a verbal agreement, it's actually considered a contract. Now, the issue is enforceability, right? Yeah. Whether we can prove that either party agreed to this. Because if one party says, well, he offered me his watch at $350 and I accepted it at $325, well, that changes that then. That actually becomes a new offer. And then we ask the question, well, did he accept the offer? Was there an exchange of consideration? So although you have a verbal contract is a binding agreement, there isn't an attorney on the planet who's going to say to you, yeah, go ahead and go with that. You want to get it written down for enforceability, but also to even avoid future disputes and not even going to trial, because I know what it says. It says it right here on the contract. There's no he said, she said, or misconception about what was actually said.
Love it. Oh gosh, those are so good. Both of them, so good. And I can tell you, I've seen those and I've come across those even with my clients and women who come in through boot camp. So thank you. These are just amazing. I mean, you're literally like a wealth of knowledge. That's why I love hanging out with you. And it's like, you just make it so easy.
Oh,
so
thanks, Olenka.
I know there's so many of my girls who are listening going, gosh, she is nothing like a normal lawyer. Thank God. Like she's
thank you.
Yes. You're speaking girl language, Megan. That's the best part. So I know there's some of them who are listening there and who maybe have considered to even dabbling or are dabbling into attorney career now. And now you literally have given them hope that it's possible. That you don't have to be stuck in a big corporation and only do things boxed up one way. So if there is a girl, if there's a boss babe or a woman out there who is listening and she wants to be just like Megan, maybe she wants to combine their attorney path with building the business and being an entrepreneur, what would be one advice you would give her?
So I think for a new lawyer or someone who is looking to go to law school and explore that, well, it would be 2 different pieces of advice. If you're looking to go to law school, try working at a law firm. See if you like the work. Maybe not the firm itself, maybe not the environment, but really look at the work itself. Yeah. When I first started, I went into litigation and I loved it, Olenka. I loved it. I mean, obviously, I love being in front of a screen. I love talking. I love hearing my own voice. But then I would turn around and I would see these clients whose lives were falling apart. And I thought, this doesn't feed my soul that way. Yeah. I want to get them before they're there, right? I want to be the legal dentist, right? I want you in your teeth cleaning. So if you're looking to go to law school, my recommendation would be to see if you can shadow a couple of lawyers in different capacities, different industries, to see if you even like the work. Yeah. And then if you are a lawyer and you're looking at kind of starting your own firm, I think first and foremost, I would sit down and find out what you are interested in. I believe that we are getting further away from, and in fact, this isn't novel, this idea I have, or this perspective. We are getting away from full service. At some of the larger law firms, you have full service options because you have a bunch of different attorneys. But for an individual lawyer or even a couple, it doesn't make sense for you to try to do everything. So my recommendation, because we are becoming a niche culture and very much a niche economy, find your niche. Mine was contracts. The other one that I looked into was medical marijuana. You know, there's a lot of opportunities in a number of different industries. I have a couple of female entrepreneur friends. One of them is, her focus is on aeronautical law, specifically drones. Specifically drones.
That's awesome.
So you can look at all kinds of stuff. There's reproductive law. And that would be my recommendation. Find something that you love, you feel really passionately about. Keep your options open, try out a couple of different things. But if you're going to open your practice, don't do full service. Do not take everything that walks in, because you will be miserable and you will not be doing a good job, because there's just too much out there to try to learn to be good at everything. So find something and get really, really good at that thing.
I got goosebumps from just listening to this. God, I mean, I listen to you. I want to go to law school sometimes. I don't, but
you would be excellent. You would be an excellent lawyer.
Thank you. But I mean, that's why I have you. I need to know.
You're like, I'm not doing it.
I outsource my strengths to people who are better than me. So no, that's awesome. But Megan, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I know the Sparkle Tribe is going to love this. Thank you so much for sharing all this, giving us the golden information. Like I said, we will put everything in the show notes, so ladies will reach out to you, and obviously your social media as well, so they can find you. But I really thank you for sharing so much wealth of information that was so useful.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Olenka. Anytime.
Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.